Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining in today's session. I hope all of you are doing well. In order to experience a delightful, uninterrupted learning session, there are a couple of instructions for students before we start the session. Please keep your audio and video off during the session. If you have any queries, please type it in the chat box. The queries will be addressed towards the end of the session. I would like to welcome our guest speaker for the day, Dr. Chakrabarti, Vijayan sir, Swapna Gupte ma'am, Chandana Pai ma'am, Chandrahar sir, Smita Bhatkar ma'am, Savaikar sir, and other faculty members who have joined in for the session. I now request Swapna ma'am to take the session ahead.
Thank you, Kimaya, and good evening, everyone. So today's topic is quite interesting, emerging sectors in finance. So I would like to share an interesting snippet from my life. While I was in school in 9th or 10th grade, there was a lot of pressure from my family to take up science after my 10th because everybody was doing that during that time. Some of these students would pursue careers in finance, in commerce. Of course, I didn't want to take up science or commerce. I always wanted to do arts, which I did, and I'm quite happy about it. To cut my story short, back then, most of these students would take up career in engineering or commerce and pursue CA or take up jobs in BFSI sector. But over the years, we have seen the trend has changed. Most of the students are preferring commerce or finance as their preferred career choice. I have seen around in my friends and family two generations of engineers, three generations of engineers, but the current generation has taken up career in finance. How that trend has changed, or what are the emerging careers in finance that is attracting the current generation to this stream is really interesting to know. I'm definitely interested to know from today's speaker, and I'm sure all of us are. I would like to say hello and introduce my colleagues, Professor Chandana Pai, Professor Vijayan Pankajakshan. As we all know, he's our Dean, Dean HR. He's CHRO of Welingkar Institute and heading Career Management Cell. My colleague, Professor Chandana Pai, she works with me in the Career Management Cell as General Manager. I'm not too sure whether there are any other colleagues from my CMC team joined currently, but I welcome them also. I also welcome Dr. Chandrahas Deshpande, who was a strong force behind organizing today's session. I also welcome all the respected faculties from finance stream. I'm not too sure who all have joined, apart from, of course, Professor Smita Bhatkar. I welcome everybody for today's session. And with this, I request Professor Vijayan Pankajakshan to set the context for today's session and also introduce our eminent speaker.
Yeah, I thought, Swapna ma'am, the introduction might be better to be done by Dr. Deshpande. It will be a much more informal and heart-to-heart, but I shall do the other part of my expectation. So
Yes,
thank you, Swapna, for putting this show together along with Dr. Deshpande, and welcome, Dr. Chakrabarti. I knew about your relationship with V School goes back so many years. I got to know that only a couple of days back. So I felt even more overjoyed that you have come. And Dr. Deshpande was saying that anytime he described you, he was most often saying that he has grown very fast. And I'm sure that in today's competitive times, if you have grown fast, it must be because of your learning professional competence and how you have become a global financial expert rather than only belonging to any country. I think the reason why we sort of put this session together, it is not for only finance students, even though they may be a bulk of them. I must admit, like Swapna's story, that when I graduated, people used to come to HR because they used to tell very proudly that they are not very comfortable with numbers. Nowadays, we tell our HR students you should know more finance rather than HR because there is nothing called HR for HR. And data analytics, cost issues have made the HR profession also quite late in life to understand that you can't run away from finance. And also, we have seen that how economics drives politics. For many decades, the globalization was sort of panacea. Now we are seeing that some of the political forces are trying to dominate economic forces. And then with the COVID sort of, I can say, googly, I think the pot has been stirred. And with the stirring of the pot, there are always opportunities. And I also tell our students that they are very fortunate that they are studying in a B school in Mumbai. Mumbai is always and will always remain as the financial capital of our country. And it is of the same status in terms of imagery like London, New York, Hong Kong, and Singapore. And I think maybe that's one of the reasons that students gravitate towards finance. I think I'm the wrong person to talk about careers in finance, but I'm deeply interested in listening to the perspective of Dr. Chakravarti because you are going to tell us something that's going to happen maybe in the immediate future, and that will give the school a better chance to align our teaching curriculum, pedagogy, student focus, and I'm sure that after a couple of years we can proudly come back to you and say that what you said has sort of helped in our institutions' growth into the next sector. So I'm very thankful to all the finance faculty, Dr. Deshpande, Smita ma'am, Savaikar sir, and I'm sure there are others whom I'm not able to, but I definitely also want to thank Kanu Doshi sir, Bhattacharya sir. They're all legends in their own profession. And I'm sure their blessings are there for this session also. So over to you, Swapna. I feel Chandra as Deshpande sir will do a better introduction of self. Over to you. Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Yeah, can I go ahead?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. My senior colleague, respected Professor Vijayan, my senior deans of from the finance faculty, Smita madam, Vanita madam, other senior colleagues from the finance faculty, student friends, and of course, my CMC colleagues and my good friend Dr. Chiragra Chakravarti, but it's tough for me to call him Dr. Chiragra Chakravarti. I think Chirag is better, has been a good friend for almost close to 3 decades now, as I realize. What Dr. Chiragra Chakravarti is will be easily found out from if our student friends log into Ethic Consultants. So I don't want to repeat that. I'm sure most of you must have already seen his profile. So I will tell you something which is a little beyond his profile because I have seen at very close quarters the meteoric rise. There is no other word. At least I can't find a better word of my good friend Chirag. Writes in right after his post-graduation days when he joined Tata's as an economist, wherein I was also his colleague. But from then onwards, I have seen his rise across sectors, across countries, shall I say, within the finance domain, of course, and what he has not handled. Forex, whether it is forex management, whether it is financial markets, whether it is banking, and you name it, and of course, fintech, needless to say. So, and all at expert levels, he has been interacting with top-notch financial experts, whether it is IMF. Also, I used to have regular breakfast with the Governor Bank of Mauritius. So that itself says a lot. So currently he is in Mauritius, but uh, and also let me add an all-rounded personality with all these achievements at a very young age. A very humble person, can be friendly with anyone, avid fan of sports, avid fan of cultural activities, and really a multi-dimensional personality, and I've known him for a long time. And Chirag, just before we formally launched, Smita Madam, Dean BFSI from V School, as also Vanita Madam, all of them have been fondly remembering your sessions at V School. That was, of course, much before I joined V School. But and of course, needless to say, Kanu Bhai, whom you also, Chirag, fondly remember whenever we speak of V School. So with all that, I think it's privilege is a common word, but I'm more than privileged. I'm extremely happy and proud, Chirag, to have you here and share your thoughts for with our students for what is likely to be a meaningful, fruitful, and a very unique session, I'm sure. So thank you and welcome, Chirag, on my personal behalf and as also on the behalf of V School. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. I think that was a lovely introduction. Thank you. Respected, I'll start with Professor Kanu Doshi, who introduced me to Welingkar Institute of Management. Respected Professor Deshpande, Chandras Deshpande, who said that he was my colleague in Tatas, but he was not my colleague, he was my senior. And I would like to say here that he taught me a lot of things when that was my first job. Respected, I'll come back to Dr. Deshpande's contribution in my professional life in due course of time. But
please don't embarrass me, Chirag. Go ahead.
Respected Professor Vijayan, Professor Bhatkal, Professor Vanita Madam, Professor Gupte, Professor Pai, and my dear friends, students. Thank you very much for inviting me. Whenever the name Welingkar comes to me, it's a very, very fond memories because as you said, I've been, when I was staying in Mumbai, I used to do visiting faculty. I taught the students there and it was excellent experience because I consider teaching as, not only an experience, but also I learn a lot whenever I teach because students give a lot of feedback. And when I go back home, I think on those feedback, and that helps a lot to learn yourself. So whenever I get an opportunity to teach or make a presentation to any student, any academic, on any academic platform, it always helps. It excites me, and I always accept that invitation and go for it. So that's why thank you very much for inviting me, Dr. Deshpande. And with that, I would like to start the session. Can I start the session or do you have anything else in between?
No, we can start the session.
Okay, that's lovely. So let me share my presentation so that I can just upload that. Can everyone hear me properly?
Yes, you are audible and we can see your screen as well.
That's lovely. So thank you, and let me start with a small story. Why I said Dr. Deshpande always helped me. After doing my master degree from a campus, Bombay University campus, Kalina, we got this first job at Tata Economic Service, under Tata Services, and I was junior economist, and I went there to do my first day job. And after going from the campus and after going from a student life to a corporate life, first day frankly, I was thinking, what should I do for this 8 hours? We then, as a student, I was not used to sitting in a class more than half an hour or 1 hour. 8 hours on the same chair, sitting there and do what I was thinking. Seriously, I was thinking what to do on the first day. So that time, this gentleman called Dr. Deshpande helped me a lot, saying that he guided me properly, that what all things should be done as an economist. Above all, I must confess that because how he also taught me how to draft official note and economic policy notes and other things. So I am really thankful to Dr. Deshpande on my initial days when he taught me all this thing, and that helped me a lot. So that's why I started by saying that Dr. Deshpande has immense contribution in my professional life, right? Because from the first day he guided me, and I could always fall back on him on asking anything which I couldn't understand that time, and he taught me. And he taught me, I can say, without charging anything. It's a free education for him, which he always believed, I suppose, that time. Anyway, from that perspective, and I would also like to thank Mr. Professor Kanudoshi because we've been talking. Kanudoshi sir used to come when I used to work for UTI and used to discuss various aspects of finance and tax, and he is a stalwart in that. And I've learned so many things from Professor Kanudoshi. And he only introduced me to Professor Salunke and then said, why don't you take some session in Welingkar that time, and it was excellent experience. So thank you, Professor Kanadasi, for that. Yes, so coming to my session, as the session is about emerging career prospects in finance, and I would love to share my thoughts with you because, as I said, I was basically an economist. I did my PhD in Bombay University using game theory under Dr. Abhay Pete for debt market, and then I shifted. I should say I shifted quite a bit from a real economic or macroeconomic related work to more finance related work. So I was not hardcore economist as such, but I was more into finance and interdisciplinary work. I used to do that, and I'll share that what all things I've done that, and maybe it will be useful for you people also in future. So just to begin the session, as Professor Deshpande said, I have been almost working in the financial market for last 25 years. My last work as a professional, I was working as an executive director of Bank of Mauritius, which was the central bank, which is the central bank of Mauritius. And I used to manage their reserve, forex reserve, as well as the regulating the financial market of Mauritius. Then last year I left and I started my own company called Catty Consulting. So from last February 2019, I've been entrepreneur and started working on my own. I've started this company in Mauritius and I'm based in Mauritius. So Capic is the name of my company. I'll run through a little bit. I always do that because some people say that why are you sharing all this thing in a presentation? But believe me, I'm an entrepreneur, so I would always love to share this thing with you people. That what are things we do. You never know. It may be useful sometime to someone. So the work which is being done under CAPIC is this. These are the few services which I provide as a consulting. So process, technology advisory, data management, research and training, regulation, setting up a business in Africa, but more all focusing towards financial industry. So all this thing I do under the CATIC thing, or we do in CATIC. Since last 1 year, this has my clientele base, which has happened in Mauritius and some part in others. So MCB is one of the biggest bank in Mauritius. I also work with International Monetary Fund as a financial market expert. So whenever whenever, as you know, International Monetary Fund, they do country review, which they call a technical assistant, and they review various countries' policies, reserves, and other things. So I am the part of that team whenever they do something in Africa. My focus is always on financial markets and reserve management and help them on that perspective. So these are some of the clients which I work with in Mauritius now. Yep. So this is just quickly, last 3 months back. Now I have a joint venture. So I was lucky enough to get a joint venture initiative from UK. True North Partners is a company, is an independent consulting company who has joined hand with me with Cathy Consulting, and I'm also so we have a joint initiative or collaboration under this banner. We do okay. Somebody said a little louder, so I'll be a little louder. So under this joint initiative, we do a lot of work now. So now it's True North Partners and Cathy Consulting is the company, and I'm the partner in this. So just to give a little bit introduction of True North Partners, True North is a partner LLP, is an independent consulting company based in London, and they have their subsidiaries in Johannesburg and Frankfurt, and now in Mauritius. So we work together. Our main focus area is about risk, finance, and fintech. That's the area in a nutshell, if I can say that. So we work on that area. Just a minute, if I can just take this out so that, yeah. And we have the point I'm trying to bring home here is that, we have few partners. We have 13 partners and we have different staff and working with us. But if you see the profile of our partners, you'll see that we have partners from interdiscipline, from different segments of education. And that's the theme which I would like to conclude at the end also, because that's the game changer now, that you need to be interdisciplinary. And because finance is part and parcel of each and every business. And so that if you want to be an expert in financial industry, or if you want to get success, if you want to be successful in financial industry, you need to be interdisciplinary. And that's a point I want to bring home with this joint initiative which we have. If you see our profile, so this is about the joint collaboration I just said. So we are now working together. So TNP and CATIC is the brand name. And if somebody visits my website or our website, CATIC Consulting, you will see all the services which we are providing under this banner. So this is the thing I just want to see. Our partnerships are, if you see the partners, we have 13 partners, and we have people from mathematical background. In fact, Dr. Lutz is is engineer, MPhil, and then Phil and DPhil in economics. We have Peter, who is an MA in politics, philosophy, and economics, and we have people from management. We from London School, and Vijay is again a banker, senior banker. So we have different segments of people coming and becoming partners. So 13 partners are bringing their different respective expertise, and then we can support the different consultants, consulting projects. So that's been one of the game changers, that because we always have always do brainstorming, and whenever we do brainstorming, we get various ideas from various people because their thought process are different, their educational backgrounds are different, and that helps to come out with some solution to our client. Because as you know, as a consultant, it is important that whenever we approach, or any client approaches us, they approaches us because they have some problem, and we as a consultant need to sort out that problem. So we cannot just give them just a simple PowerPoint and come out of it. We need to give solution which can be implemented, and which can give them, after implementation, that can solve their problem and can give them return. So that's why this interdisciplinary partnership under TNP and CATIC plays a major role. We really love that we are from a different educational background, and we work together. And in fact, yeah, I should. He's not listening on this forum, but some people know him. Dr. Abhay Pethe, who is a professor in economics at Bombay University, and he was my PhD guide. He always used to tell me that, Chiragra, whenever you become, because I discuss everything with him, and when I said that, sir, I want to be an entrepreneur and start my own consulting firm, he said that if you are doing that, develop an interdisciplinary company where people can come together, a mathematician and a historian and a politician, a risk guy, and then you can you do a brainstorming and you can come out with good suggestions for your consulting client. And I think that's being done now, and we are really getting good results out of it. So now that's just the point I wanted to make, a point of interdisciplinary in this. This is okay. This is my profile. I'll not waste time. You can, whenever you feel like, you can go through it. This presentation will be there with you, so you have a look. That's fine. And this is my past client and last 24 years where I've been consulting. I've been working with various brands. I've been working with various people. So this is my clientele base. So been with some of the global financial institutions, and that was really a good learning ground for me, that I've learned whatever I've learned from them. Yeah. So now coming to the topic, emerging careers in finance. Yeah, let's talk about that. If you have any questions, you can stop me because I believe that there's no point waiting till the last slide, because you may forget your question by that time. So if you have any question, just stop me. I'm fine with it, unless until you have any protocol that you should ask question at the end of the session. That's a different issue, but I don't have any problem. You can always stop me whenever you feel like. So emerging areas in finance. So this slide I was just looking because based on the data which I got from Professor Gupte, that this is the financial specialized batch of 2019-2021, and there are almost like 129 students, and these 129 students have a a graduation background of like 15% comes from management, 29% comes from engineering background, and 55 almost percent comes from commerce background, which is great. But I see anyone coming from philosophy, or anyone coming from political science, or anyone coming from medical, or anyone coming from English literature, or anyone coming from let's say economics also. So that's, I think, I don't know why that has not been happening, but if that happens, that will help a lot, because and when you do a financial management, again, financial management everybody requires it. So that can be an important thing to take it back. Another point which I was just thinking when I was going through the your curriculum, it's a very interesting curriculum and people are doing HS times, and you be learning various topics related to finance. I've seen that in trimester 1, you are doing financial reporting, economics, marketing management. I've taken the marketing management trimester 1 because that's quite significant, because when you are going for financial, one of the career can be sales and market financial product, so it helps a lot if you do marketing management. Trimester 2, you are doing Indian economy, cost and management and accounting. Trimester 3, basic of banking, finance and insurance, fundamental of financial management and financial market, which is my favorite topic. And trimester 4 and 5, you do something core finance and major subject. I don't know what is that. Somebody can explain me whenever you have some time. But the point again here is, I just wanted, because Professor Vijayan was asking me that in this course, this is an excellent course. I think the students are doing, and they've been curriculum is pretty exhaustive and they are very nice. But one thing, sir, I was thinking, if it was there, I don't know whether they learn it separately or they are expert already. Because I think if you want to be an expert in finance, or you want to be a financial, you want to be successful in the financial industry, I think two things are very mandatory now, which is coming up again and again. One is you need to be more quantitative in nature. So some quantitative modeling, quantitative forecasting modeling, and some bit of maths and hardcore mathematics. It helps a lot if you do that. And second thing, if you and which is connected to this quantitative part, if you do something related to data science, because data science, which I'm going to speak in due course of time, that's very relevant because that is now the game changer. Data science is required because we are having, as I said, finance is heart of all, or it's a part of. No, I should not say heart, but it's a part of all industry. And Professor Vijayan also said the same thing that HR is not only for HR, and HR is for everybody. And you need to, as an HR person, you need to understand all the functions, and you need to understand finance. So same thing, HR also utilize a lot of data. Even in finance, people should understand and analyze a lot of data. So that these two, I think, it should be part of this course. Maybe that can help a lot to the students. They can, or maybe I don't know. Maybe in trimester 4 and 5, which is the finance core and major subject, they must be doing that. So I don't know that, but whatever I've seen from the website, I thought these two should be there, and which can help a lot the students.
And
And
Dr. Sir?
yeah, please.
Hello. Yeah, Vijayan here. I think you're right, but I think we are covering these subjects. I'll just request Smita ma'am and Vanita ma'am to please fill in as to, and we're not saying we're doing it well, or that's not the issue, but it is covered in the syllabus. So just
Oh,
to
lovely.
share.
Yeah, no, if it's covered, it's very good. I
Uh,
think that's lovely.
Yeah.
Then I
Smita
must have
ma'am,
missed it.
yeah, Chandrahas
yeah, if
Deshpande,
I could
anybody.
jump in,
Or Savaikar, sir.
yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, hello, sir. This is Savaikar. We do have an elective subject called financial modeling and econometrics for finance in trimester 5. In fact, right now.
Oh, lovely.
So we
That's
are
very
taught
good.
basics of financial modeling using Excel, and also I teach some basic econometrics and how to run multiple regressions and things like that. So yeah, we are trying to build it
Very,
up.
very nice. I think that's the excellent thing which you're doing, because that can be a game changer for the finance industry, people, whichever is there. And just to go back to Professor Vijayan's point on HR. I remember around 2000 only, once I got an invitation for Tata Institute of Social Science to deliver a lecture there. And I was wondering why they are calling me in test, because I have no connection with HR. I've never done any course on HR, and why they are calling me. And then I realized, when I got a little bit more detail about the course, they called me to give a session on valuations of derivative product. And why derivative product? Because they learn ESOPs, and they wanted to understand how do you value ESOPs. And that was excellent thing. I think and I used to work a lot of that time on valuation of derivative products and ESOPs and options and financial modeling related to that. So I think Professor Vijayan made a very nice point that even in HR, a lot of finance part comes in, and everything is becoming very interdisciplinary. So excellent. If you are doing that, that's a great thing. I think then the course is superb. I think the students are getting everything what they need. Uh, Going back to the student profile, I think that's the one thing which I just wanted, that there's commerce people coming from almost like 55%. So how many of them wants to do a job related to quantitative modeling? Engineers, how many of them want to do financial accounting modeling? And management's coming back with a background. How many of you want to work in a fixed income market related job? Because these are the jobs which is hardcore finance job. And if you're a finance student, you'll be really enjoying this type of work. And why I'm harping on this point, you'll realize once I go in details in next few slides, that why I'm saying this. These are the, can be a game changer, because finance industry is changing quite a bit. Even the banking industry, which is the main focus of finance industry, is changing, and the banking concepts are changing drastically. So just to summarize this slide, if people are doing all along with this subject, which has been, I have put down on the slide, which I got from the website, and also are doing quantitative analysis, which is great. I think this course is superb, and I'm sure the students will be going out from them. They'll be placed very nicely in a very good place to. So just to tell you, students, that you will be entering to the world of very old business, because finance is not new. It's a very old business. But the problem is, this old business is changing every day. It's a very dynamic business. So identify the future shape of the game and accordingly identify your career and always keep upgrading yourself. That should be the mantra, that upgrade yourself on a regular basis, because you'll become stagnant, because finance industry is moving very fast. And that's I always keep on saying to the young people that keep learning new things, otherwise you'll be outdated or you'll be out of the business. So do that. So if you see that this business is pretty old, and we have seen finance from Arthashastra, which is um, it's a pretty ancient thing which you talked about, and should be proud of it as an Indian, that we've been using finance from long. And I don't know how many of you have read Kautilya's Arthashastra, but I have read little bit of it, and I've realized that you can really bring parallel. You can bring a lot of parallel between the Arthashastra said that time and today's world in terms of financial market. I don't know how many of you have seen that, but if you have not read it, because that time he talks about debt market and debt market trading. That time he talks of taxations. That time he talks about penalties if somebody defaults in that Kautilya's Arthashastra. So, which is, these concepts are very, very relevant at this juncture. Sorry, somebody wrote something, I messed it out. Any questions?
No, sir. I think one of the students is mentioning about Chanakya. So I presume he was trying to relate to Arthasastra.
Correct. Kautilya's
Yeah. He just
Kautilya's
mentioned.
Arthashastra. Absolutely.
Yeah. There's no
Yeah, okay.
question there. Just a comment. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so that's, as I was saying, this industry is pretty old, and in this industry is changing very rapidly from this old golden coin to Bitcoin. So we've been shifting our industries very rapidly. Although both the coins looks more or less similar, but the feel and touch of these coins is completely different. The regulations of these two coins are completely different. The usage of these two coins are not so different. But so that's why I'm saying this industry is changing quite drastically. One point from this slide is that identify which area you like the most of finance and go into that, enjoy that field, and keep upgrading yourself. Now coming to the what jobs which is available recently, where we can see ourselves as a finance institution, finance guy. So I was just thinking we can spend some time on this. So when I say financial institution, I'm talking about banking and non-banking both, where we are talking about uh, different aspects of jobs which you can be we can talk about here. So if you see, these are the two buildings of a bank in Mauritius. It is called MCB, Mauritius Commercial Bank. Both are. This is a leading bank in Mauritius. I just thought I'll share that. So people generally say that Mauritius is only for honeymoon couples, but that's not true. Mauritius is very it's for it's a financial hub. It's a tax haven also. So there are a lot of opportunities comes in Mauritius. In fact, when I was coming to Mauritius for the first time, some friends remarked that, "Are you going to Mauritius to काम करने जा रहे हैं कि छुट्टी मनाने जा रहे हैं?" So that was the comment I used to get. But believe me, there are a lot of opportunities in Mauritius in terms of financial sector. So when I say banking, banks are not banking, so these are the organizations which I referred to. So the bank, investment banks, mutual fund, insurance, hedge funds, brokerage fund, finance and leasing company, private equity, venture capital, and many more. So all this are providing jobs to finance industry. But in which segment you have to go, that you need to decide. Whether it's a hardcore finance job or it's a marketing job or what is. I'm not saying marketing is not a hardcore job, but marketing, when you talk about marketing of financial product, it's more a marketing job. When you talk about hardcore financial work, it is absolutely related to maybe treasury, maybe related to accounting, maybe related to other things. So let's see that. So when you talk about financial institution, basically we always say that we can get a job in a treasury, which is also a main function for banking or non-banking institutions. And when you talk about treasury, you can be part of your front office, mid office, and back office, or you can also be part of the sales of treasury products. Very interesting area to work on. I have been working on this area for long. Treasury is where you do a lot of borrowings, lending, investments from a front office perspective. Mid office is basically the controller of front office and back office, which does a lot of related to risk management job also. So if you're interested in risk management related area, but want to be part of the market also, the mid office can be an ideal place to be. And back office is basically who does the payment settlement and other related work, and which is also becoming very interesting because some of the back office also do accounting. And when you do accounting, and you must be knowing the accounting are changing drastically. It's no more the simple financial accounting which used to do earlier, or bookkeeping which used to do earlier. Now, in IFRS 9 or IS 39, if you compare, you will see that there are a lot of modeling goes into that. So back office jobs are also becoming very interesting in that perspective. If you like mathematics or if you like to do modeling there. So there is a lot of opportunity comes in this part of this in the organization, that is the treasury. And I think people always look for young, dynamic people in treasury from front office perspective, mid office perspective, as well as back office. But also they look from somebody who can do a sales of treasury products in any banking or non-banking entity. So that's one area I think we should always try to focus and try to get a job there as well, and develop your career there itself. That will always help you. Second area is corporate finance. Very interesting area. So which is again part of financial institutions. You can get credit analyst job and help in funding the corporate finance guys. So that's an area which is very interesting, and you can look for a job there. Third, obviously, retail banking, hardcore, main retail banking, branch networking, and there can be a good, interesting place to work on. Retail banking becomes very important because you deal with retail people there, and marketing also becomes very important part in the retail banking segment. So there also there's interesting finance people can. Marketing and sales of banking product, basically a finance background people will always be a good asset there because they understand the products nicely. And if they understand the product nicely, they can plan their marketing plans properly, as well as they can convince the investors and the buyer of this product for when they go for sales. Accounting, definitely another area where finance people is absolutely required. They are the main guys who work there. And as I said, accounting is changing drastically. So thanks to IFRS, lots and lots of work needs to be done in front of, from impairment identification. So many things are there in IFRS. And documentation of under IFRS is also very much important, and that also plays a role if you are a finance background people. Hedge accounting also plays a major role if you understand your hedge strategies properly. So if you are coming from a finance background, this can be a good opportunity to work there. I'm saying here a chartered account can also be a good player in this, but in a finance with such type of course background can also be a place where you can go and work. IT system. Now that's the again a game changer. IT system department. There, I think we earlier used to think that we used to engineers and working there, but now the trend is changing quite a bit. This team is a combination of engineers and finance people, because IT system is they're not only there just repairing the computers or laptops and other things, but they also work a lot on automatizing your processes, digitalizing your processes of the banking system. So when you do this digitalization, lot of finance domain expertise are required, and there again a finance person can play a major role. So if you're coming from this background, you can really add value in this system also. Then comes your innovations of new products, because and this you mark this point here, because in my last few slides I'll talk about innovations in banking, because all banks or all financial institutions is facing huge amount of competition, because the market has become global. The clients are becoming global, so they can select from various competitors what they want. So if you want to beat your competition, innovation is only solution through which you can beat the competition. So innovation of new products is, some of the banks are starting these new departments, and some of the global banks are working on this, and even some domestic banks. So if you are looking from working more as a uh, um, researcher, you love to do research in new products or financial products, you can apply and get a job in such departments. Oh, again, as I said, this is again a main key thing, because data protection, confidentiality, and if you have any client coming from Europe segment, then GDPR becomes very stringent. Each and every any questions? Okay. So each and every jurisdiction, they have their own data protection act now. And so data and data protection becomes a very important thing. Banks now are coming out with officer, and people coming from a finance background then can play a role there, etc. Data is another area. Risk management, definitely a key player, a key department where you can play a role. Risk management, market, credit, and operational. ERM is enterprise risk management. Uh, and complete knowledge of finance, complete knowledge of quantitative analysis, complete knowledge of processes, banking process, fund process, insurance process. That helps a lot to work in this type of department. Actually, from insurance perspective, I think that's another area which you can think from. If you can do actual science along with finance background, it can always help you to be a good actuarial scientist in any insurance company. Financial and economic research, that's another area which requires a lot of input from finance background, and there you can apply for a job. And regulatory reporting, this is becoming very important, because as markets, as the in financial industry is becoming complicated, regulations are becoming also very complicated, and regulators are becoming very stringent. So regulatory reporting is another department which is getting a lot of momentum now, and it is requires a lot of IT knowledge. At the same time, it requires a lot of financial domain knowledge, because they can play a lot of they can add a lot of value addition there. So regulatory reporting is another area where you can always think from working. Internal audit, definitely another area, and anti-fraud department. Now, internal audit and anti-fraud department, why I place this here technically, because obviously it requires legal knowledge in internal audit and compliance knowledge in internal audit. But even if you know the banking knowledge and the finance knowledge rightly, I think it can add values. Because I have seen in my own professional life that many internal auditors, they don't understand happening in treasury department, what's happening in some of the complicated department, how the modelings are happening, and they many times they cannot do a proper audit because they don't understand that. So I can share one story here. One of the foreign bank, a global bank, gave me a project. This project was given to me, was basically a regulator of that jurisdiction. I don't want to name the jurisdiction. The regulator didn't understand what type of models this global bank was using it. So they were raising a lot of questions, and these guys were answering in more technical terms. So I was given the role in this project just to understand the model properly and explain the regulator in simple English that what they are doing. So that was a simple project I was given. But if somebody has a finance background, that can play a major role there to convert the complicated models in a simple English and explain to the regulators. That helps a lot. So internal audit, if you are from that team, you can understand that. and play a major role in identify if something hanky-panky is happening in the bank or not. Same with anti-fraud department, because anti-fraud departments are becoming very important because a lot of fraud happens in banking and financial institutions, and you need to understand, if you want to understand how to identify this fraud, you need to understand the finance, you need to understand the process, you need to understand the data analysis, trends, and so on and so forth. So with that type of background, you can also be applying for a job in this type of department. So I just wanted to narrate this because this is maybe a known thing to you, but I was just saying that there's a tremendous opportunities which is waiting for you in, in simple financial institutions. There can be various ways you can approach the financial institution for applying for a job. Not only simple marketing or simple treasury, but there are so many avenues available in financial institutions, and you can apply for it. And obviously, and finally, you can also apply to be a CEO of the financial institution. That's always, that should be the aim, ultimate aim, and you should up the ladder, you should be there. So there are different, opportunities waiting for you once you go out of this organization, academic organization, and apply for it. And I think there can be, you can enjoy life in this professional place. There are a few more I just wanted to narrate because I've seen many people don't apply in such type of organization, but I think there is a tremendous opportunity there. I think non-financial corporates, they also look for a lot of financial guys, obviously in the finance department. And generally, if it's a medium-sized finance department, a medium-sized corporate, they'll have a finance department. And in that finance department, they'll have accounting, funding, treasury, everything together. So if you're coming from finance background, you can be part of that. But if you're applying, say, for Reliance, or if you're applying for Tata's, they have separate department. They have a finance department, they have a treasury department separately, they have a funding department separately, they have an internal audit department separately. So like the banking and financial institutions, they can, in big corporate, there are a lot of opportunities are waiting for you. Data analyst becomes a very important thing for any corporate. Like if you're applying for any telecommunication company, and if you're coming back from financial background with a quantitative analysis, data analyst can be a good job which you can look for. Then comes another game changer, the fintech and the regtech. This is now, I think it's is in the vogue. Everybody wants to be part of fintech and regtech. And when you apply, either you start as an entrepreneur there, you start as a fintech, but which I don't want to push you there at this juncture. But you can always apply for a job in fintech and regtech, which is basically talking about financial technology and as well as the regulatory technology. Because as I said, regulations are becoming very stringent and very complicated. So obviously there are a lot of technological interventions are required. So a lot of technological developments are required. So there you can apply for jobs and get that in financial or business analyst, product manager, because the product manager, definitely if you're part of fintech or a regtech, you need to have a background of finance. Otherwise, you will not be able to do a justice to that. Data scientist, quantitative analyst, financial regulatory analyst, finance department of those companies, all these are opportunities are waiting for you. And this place, this fintech and regtech is tremendously interesting area. It is growing anything in across the globe. And it can, sky is the limit if you want to be working in this type of organization. It's a lovely place to work because if you like innovations, if you like new things, I think this place can give you a lot of interesting projects to work for. So as a student of finance, once you go out of the academic place, you can be part of this type of organization. Rating agencies, they also recruit a lot of finance background. S&P, Fitch, then Moody's, Care, Crystal in India, they always look for finance background people, and because they need to do a lot of credit analysis, because for rating purpose, either the company's rating or bank's product rating, or for a bond rating, or for a sovereign rating. Different types of ratings have to be done, and for all this thing, a credit analysis requires, and with a finance background, that helps a lot. Financial media, that's another area which we don't consider so much, but I think there's a lot of tremendous recruitments are being done in this area so that the financial reporting in the media becomes much more sensible. You don't report negative things, you don't report wrong thing. You can report negative thing, but you don't report wrong thing if you're from a finance background. You understand this product. I remember, I can narrate this story now. When I was in India and as well as in another country, there used to be one guy who used to call me from on a very reputed financial newspaper, and he used to try to ask me always things, very things in finance, that like what type of what. I remember one day he was asking me, "What do you mean by demutualization of a stock exchange?" And he had a background. I'm not, the curiosity was good, but his background was simple history. He was coming from a history background, and his subject was completely different. So I used to explain him properly that what do you mean by demutualization of stock exchange, how do you have, and all these things. And then he used to go and report. Then I told him that why don't you do something in financial management or some courses like that, which he did. And now he said that he can understand this finance industry more nicely, and he reports also very nicely. So knowledge always helps. So financial media can another area, I think, where people can play, financial guys can play a major role there. Uh, then comes IT companies. Again, most of the IT companies are whoever is trying to develop products for financial industry will definitely look for people like you, because they want somebody who can plan and design the IT the products. Not only the products, but also and nowadays product designing is one thing, but also IT companies do a lot of IT consulting related to process and other things for digitalizations and other things. And there, the role of a finance person becomes very important because you can help them to explain how the process works. Because if you're a consultant and if you go and ask the client always that how you're working, then client will think that this guy doesn't know anything. But if you can speak their language, the client's language, then client also feels very good that, okay, this guy knows everything and it will save our time so we can give the project to him. So if you can speak the client's language and understand their language and come back and tell to the, whoever is doing the coding and other thing, then it makes the product very interesting. So from that perspective, again, it's very important. You can play a role there. Then financial consulting and advisory, uh, like PwC, Deloitte, all big fours, they always look for Accenture and all. They always look for such type of people where you can apply. And also the stock exchange and commodity exchange, like in India, we have BSC, NSC, a commodity exchange like MCX, NCDX, all look for recruitment because they will be looking for people who have a finance background and help them in their product listing, in product development, regulatory reporting, payment settlement, and risk management, and so forth. So other than the financial institutions, I narrate so many companies will be there waiting for you out as soon as you finish your course. And finally, in this part, I would like to say that there are another big entities are waiting for you who are always look for people now. Like one is central bank, because central bank always look for financial people, because the concept is the central bank always look for economists. That is true, but they also look for financial background people or finance background people because they require people who can understand financial market properly, who understand forex reserve management properly, and that's why who can do investment management properly. So central bank also looks for people from finance background. Capital market authorities like SEBI in India and other countries, they also have regulators who regulate the capital market. They require people who can understand finance people, and so on and so forth. So you can see income tax authorities, International Monetary Fund, ADB, African Development Bank, United Nations, Ministry of Finance. Nowadays, there are a lot of lateral recruitment happens in most of the government ministries who can explain them with the financial markets and other and 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 you can people can play a key role there. And obviously, the last one, economic crimes identification department, because I remember when I was in India, we did some training program them when this department was established initially, because they wanted to understand how the financial market works and all those things. So these are the various segments or various organizations where you can apply, and people are looking to get they're looking for efficient people like you. And when I say this point, my dear friend, I'm saying not only specifically from Indians perspective, but I'm talking from a global perspective, because this type of organizations are present globally. And I will share one slide after some, I think few more slides. That slide is there, that where you can focus in next 1 or 2 years, which countries you can focus in all these organizations, because they are looking for people, and there is a dearth of skilled manpower, and if people can apply and get the job there. And there are two more organizations which I always believe you can play a role, but after a certain period of time, gain some experience and then go there, is education industry, because you can always go back and teach, but you can teach only when you have some good experience in the practical world. So learn and then go back maybe in education industry and teach your future generation. Should be a student there, you can teach there. And also the last one is the entrepreneur. You can yourself become an entrepreneur, because from a finance background, when you come, you understand the business well, you understand all segments of business well, so you can always become an entrepreneur. But again, I that's my personal view, is that don't jump into this industry at this moment. I would always suggest that you are fresh from coming from school, so learn a little bit the practical world and then jump into this too. So that's why I just wanted to keep this separately, as an education industry and entrepreneurship, not as part of those organizations. Any questions till now? Okay. Now going ahead a little bit. Now, so now the next segment of my session is basically, I just want to say that how the financial institutions are changing, and what are the new type of jobs or the new type of specialization people will be looking for. So that's I will spend some time there in so that we can speak a little bit on this. Now, as I said, most of this smart word has been used everywhere. You always say smart home, smart car, smartphone, smart cities. The same way now people are also talking about smart financial institutions or smart banking, and that's the new vogue, or the new area where everybody wants to go. So smartness is essential, but the smartness is coming through technology's way. And as I say, it is adoption of technology, but technology is like garbage in and garbage out. So unless until you have a proper domain knowledge of finance, you cannot develop a good technology in which can be utilized in financial institutions to become more smart. So it's a combination of domain knowledge of finance and technology. This marriage or this joint venture can really be really smart and can make the organizations real smart. And generally, that's a concept which is being utilized now in banking. It is utilized in financial institutions like insurance funds, hedge funds, and other places. And generally, if it's a banking or it's an insurance company or any big funds, they always try to do this, that get the business in and keep the customer out of the building. That's a smart financial institution in a very simple way they are now trying to do. Even the clients, they prefer that. They don't want to go to the banks, or they don't want to go to a fund. They want that everything can be done from their bedroom. That will be the best thing to do. They can trade on financial market sitting in the bedroom, or they can deposit money, withdraw money, transfer money, invest money sitting at the bedroom. That's the smartness which is they are looking for. And that's the way the most of the financial industry is moving. And since technology is being used so much in this smartness, to get this smartness, as I said, this market is becoming very dynamic, or this financial industry is becoming very, very dynamic. It's changing every day. And that's why I was telling that if you want to be successful in this industry, you need to be update yourself on a regular basis. So when you talk about the smartness, three things comes into picture always, and we said that um, we are doing digitalization. But when you do digitalization, frankly, friend, I have seen this from various clients in various countries that what they actually mean by digitalization. Sometimes when they just scan their paper and keep it in a computer, they say that's digitalization, but that's not a digitalization. That's basically, it's a digitization. Basically, they are just scanning the paper, keeping in the computer, and again taking a printout, working on that paper, signing on that paper, again doing a scanning of it and keeping it, storing it somewhere. So that's the first step of digitalization, and why I'm sharing this, many banks and financial institutions still do that. Then comes the actual digitalizations where you are trying to, make this all the process, trying to make this process automatized. So you use the various digital technology to make your banking process, your process in funds, your process in insurance company more digitalized and and you try to do less of manual intervention. But when I say less of manual intervention, there are two stories which talks about, and you need to bring a balance there. Less of manual intervention is good, so that there's no error happens, there's no operational risk there. This is good in countries where there's a populations are pretty low, then this digitalization plays a major role. But even where the population is very high, still it can be a very important thing, because each and every decision has to be taken by a human being. But this process or these models that can help you to take the decision, it will throws out your numbers based on the numbers which you have inputted into it. So as I said, technology is always garbage in and garbage out. Unless until you can analyze this output properly and take a proper decision, you'll not be successful. So there again, even if the digitalization happens, human brain will be required at the end to take some decision, which I believe. And that's the role of people like you who will be working there. And that's why, as I believe in this, and that's why the third step comes when you talk about digitalization of a financial institution. The third step is digital transformation, and that's actually when the digital, your entire system is becoming more digitalized, and you are becoming real smart. And digital transformation is a process where we can speak a lot whenever you have some time. We can have a one-to-one conversation, but that one process is a combination of a process, technological tool, and people. When these three things comes together, then you have a digital transformation. And when I say digital transformation, there again, I believe that people working in that organization should believe in technology. It should not happen that your young people, level people are using all proper technology, and as they go up the senior level, they're taking the printouts and reading it again, which happens quite a bit of time. And sometimes people, after doing Excel sheet calculations, still take out calculators and try to check that whether the Excel sheet was correct or not. So that means why they are doing this, because they don't have belief in the system properly. So digital transformation, that's why the term is used, digital transformation, because you need to really believe in the system, and then only the success will come, and then only you'll become more smart as an organization. So you start your process from digitization, then you become digitalization, and then you go for digital transformation. So this digital transformation can be really a good game changer, and it is happening in most of the financial institutions. And there, people coming from the finance background can tremendous it brings a lot of values to it, because you will understand the process well. You learn the process quickly if you because you have the basic theoretical knowledge, and then you can really add value to this organization. So smartness or smart bank is the new change which is coming in the financial world. This is just a study which was published before COVID. I'm marking the word before COVID. And this study, which is done by IDC, it talks about that in 2021 there will be almost like 500 billion-dollar investment will be done in financial industry only for digitalization and other things. And out of that, bank will be spending almost 57%, capital market will be spending around 21%, and insurance will be spending around 22%. But when I say why I'm sharing this data with you, this data will definitely go up in post-COVID, because post-COVID we have seen the technology use of technology has become enhanced quite a bit. So people, students coming from this financial background definitely be required, because this type of investment coming, and it cannot be done only by IT people. They require people who understand the finance background. So tremendous opportunity again for the finance guys. I'm very bullish on finance industry always. You'll see this coming, and this study was done in pre-March, and but I can bet on it when the next study will come, or the actual data will come out next year. You will see the much more bigger investment has happened in this financial industry related to IT. So new trends in financial industry, you can see it is becoming a lot of technology is being used in banking, or funds, or insurance. And you see that, and the semicircle which is there on my slide talks about various things which is being used in now in the financial industry, like chatbots becoming very common to capture your data, whatever you say, and that chatbots being used in the background by artificial intelligence can help them to develop robo advisors comes there who can help you with the automatic advising. So there are a lot of technology in inclusion is happening in financial industry, but again I believe this has to be added with the domain people, otherwise it will not work. These are all good things: chatbot, big data, usage of big data. Obviously it is required because big data is in financial industry, especially in financial market, there is a huge amount of big data because of the volatility, because of the size, because of the volume, because of the big data is utilized very efficiently in other financial markets and other financial industries. Big data is being used in a big way. Blockchain is definitely used. I'm not saying blockchain is used only for cryptocurrency, but blockchain, that the platform is being used very much for eKYC, and you'll see many banks are using blockchain for eKYC. Then again, cyber security definitely, because as you are becoming more and more smart, the person sitting outside the bank is also becoming quite a bit smart, and they will try to hack your system very nicely. So cyber security becomes very important, and you need to be very, very, very careful, and you need to do all the steps which is required to keep your systems correct. So cyber security is a in thing. It's a main thing of a banking system or financial institution. RPA and all, I'll not speak much on this. We can have a separate session on this, but definitely these are the new trends which is which will be there in the banking arena or financial industries. But just one thing which I want to talk about is open banking concept. Open banking concept is becoming very important. It has already started in UK, it has started in Europe, it has started in Australia, and I would like to say it has started long time back in India. The open banking concept is basically where you're trying to share the data with others, with a third party, and that will help the clients to get a better product, a cheaper product from the open banking concept. But the crucial point here is that the data protection, because when are you sharing this data, you need to be very careful, because if you are sharing, because banking data or investment data are very confidential data and very personal data, and if it's getting shared with third party, definitely the bank will take an approval from you. But in case somebody hacks it in between, it will be a real problem for the bank. So open banking system is becoming very in thing now, but you need to be very careful on the data part. So again, as I said, people will be definitely be required in those type of industries who will be requiring a domain knowledge personnel. So, but as I said, these are the things which is happening, but there are a lot of challenges which need to be tackled with, and the challenges are if you see the challenges is increased competition. As I said in my first slide, the competition is enormous in financial industry. Not only in from organization perspective, even from recruitment perspective, because many students are coming in this industry, and because maybe they are liking this industry well, because the salaries are good in this industry, so returns is good in this industry. It is very interesting to be part of financial industry. So increased competition is one of the big challenge from organization perspective, as well as from recruitment of people perspective. So that's a challenge for you also, that there are many people who will be applying for such organization in such organization. Uh, Second one, as I said, the biggest challenge which is there is high regulations leading to high regulatory cost. Now, each and every central bank, each and every capital market authority, they require lots and lots of data, lots and lots of information from financial market players. And now, my dear friend, I can tell you there the role of RegTech comes, is that some of the central banks and some of the capital market authority, they are using such efficient technology that you don't have to report to them. They can enter your system and pull the data from you. Like I can say that Monetary Authority of Singapore, MAS, they have system that where the banks, they don't report to MAS, but MAS pull the data from the banking system, the core banking system, or from the treasury system. So that type of system requires a lot of efficiency, and it's very high cost. But why they are doing it? Financial industry player can do any manipulation of the data. So there are two concepts coming here. One is that you can pull the data, and other one is that you can push the data. Like many of the central banks use this push concept, where the banks have to use system like XBRL and all. They push the data, and banks will take the data and then try to analyze their from a supervision perspective or a risk-based supervision perspective. So high regulations, which is good, because central banks and other capital market authority, they require this data. They have to regulate the market. They have to regulate the banks, because they're very important in a system. But at the same time, it enhances the cost. So that's second challenge which is coming. Third challenge, which is this is important, the high technology cost. We are talking about smart business. We are talking about smart bank. We are talking about smart financial. To do this, you require high technology cost, because you require technology which is really costly. So small banks with a small balance sheet, or a small fund, or small insurance companies, they are finding really tough to sustain here, because technology is not cheap and they cannot afford that. So what will happen in due course of time, because of this high technology cost, you will see that a lot of mergers and acquisition will happen, which is already being happening, and you'll see many times. And my suggestion, my forecast is that, from that perspective, is that some of the big players will definitely be there in this world, but some of the small players will be eaten up by these big players, and you will see only the big brands will be working there. So technology is a game changer in both the segment. It is becoming good. It is good for the client. It is good for the bank, but it has got a high cost. And because of this high cost, some of the banks cannot afford, or some of the funds cannot afford, so they have to shut down their shop and go back home. So that's another challenge which is to be seen properly, how it can be managed. And I'll come to the next point a little bit. Then comes the high costs leading to lower spreads. So because of all this cost, the spreads is going down, and if the spreads goes down, sometimes the profitability gets reduced. So that's another challenge. High risk, because financial industry is full of risk, various risks: market risk, credit risk, operational risk, cyber risk, legal risk, you name it, and then those type of risks are there, and you need to manage those risks very efficiently. And risk management departments are becoming very important. They are becoming default on some of the things, and you get caught in those risks, then there's a huge cost the banks or the financial industry has to pay, either in terms of legal fees or in terms of regulatory fees. So high risk in this, which is another challenge. And then comes high innovation, because you need to be innovative, because if you want to break, if you want to increase, if you want to break or defeat your competitor, you need to be innovative. So that's why the high innovation comes there. So this is another challenge, that you need to keep growing every day with new products to your client, because otherwise they will go to some your competitors. So you cannot sleep in this place. You need to be innovative. And to do these innovations and to do this technology and all these things, you require high skilled manpower. That's my middle point is, which I've just kept it with a circle, because there's a lack of skilled personnel. There's a lack of, that is a tremendous thing, because we can, as a senior management, can plan various things, but somebody has to implement that, somebody has to design that, somebody has to put that into real practice. And there comes the role of skilled personnel like you people, who will be coming and bridging that gap. So challenges are there, but I think these challenges are opportunities for you, because you can bridge those gaps, because you are a learned person, a learned student. You can always be bridge those gaps from that perspective. So that's why I just thought that I should narrate these challenges to you, and you people can bridge it as you go up the ladder. uh, and as I said, that this lack of skilled manpower is across the globe. It is not only in India, or not only in Asia. It's not only in Africa, or not only in Europe. There are a dearth of skilled manpower in every country. And that's again a good opportunity for us, that jump into those wherever these opportunities are there and get this thing done and bridge it. So that's why the lack of manpower is a challenge, but it's an opportunity for all of us. Now I come to the last part of my presentation, a few more slides to share with you. Is that these are the countries which is, as per my research, you people should focus for next 1 or 2 years, because a lot of changes are happening in these countries from a financial industry perspective. As I said, Mauritius is changing drastically. Why? Because as you know, Mauritius is a tax haven also. And since it's a tax haven, there are a lot of restrictions are coming from various countries, from India, from US. And because of them, a lot of opportunities are also coming up. And regulations are changing drastically. And as you know, India and Mauritius, they have a double treaty taxation. So there are a lot of opportunity comes between India and Mauritius in terms of funds and uh, investment and so on and so forth. So one country you can definitely look, and this is, I'm talking from my own personal experience, there are a lot of opportunities can come in Mauritius. Second one, I would like to say Rwanda. Rwanda is another African country. And why I'm saying this Rwanda? Because Rwanda is in the top 10, top 20. And it's not my focus. It is as per the IMF forecast. They say that the top 20, and a lot of financial innovations are happening. Banks are opening up. Financial inclusions are happening. So stock markets are changing. Global funds are coming there. So Rwanda can another country which people should look into it. There can be a lot of job opportunities there. Sri Lanka is just next to our country. But there are also opportunities, because their financial reforms are taking place. Quite a bit of markets are opening there. So Sri Lanka can be another country you can look into. Kenya, which is in the eastern part of Africa, uh, very trade savvy country. A lot of old Gujaratis are there, who are the big brokers there. They trade a lot in this financial industry. Very good connection with India. And again, there are a lot of financial reforms are happening in Kenya, and you should keep an eye on that. Botswana is a southern African country, which is, they have their one. Botswana is diamond. They have diamond mines there, and because of diamond, a lot of financial reforms are happening again. So you can keep an eye there. Bangladesh is the fastest growing economy in Asia now. And there are also a lot of financial reforms are changing. Banks are changing drastically. A lot of digitalization are happening in Bangladesh with the Bangladesh banking. So keep an eye on that. South Africa. South Africa is a very developed market in terms of financial industry, but still I will say you can keep it there because they keep on looking for new talent. It's a very developed market. It's not new market, as it's like a very matured market like India. They have all the advanced bank there. They have all the advanced financial markets there. But still, it's a big market, big economy. Keep an eye there. Germany, especially, I've kept this company because you can keep an eye there because, as you know, UK is because of Brexit, many companies are moving away from British UK, and Germany is becoming slowly next financial hub in Europe, and a lot of big banks and big funds are moving there. So you can keep an eye there because they will be looking for people. There's a real dearth of people there because then definitely they'll be looking for people from outside. Philippines, as you have seen the latest IMF report, Philippines can be one, and Philippines is another country which has a lot of opportunity in terms of financial market and financial industry. And obviously, finally, you have to say this country, you cannot miss out this country because simply because of its size, there's so much of opportunity there in this, but obviously competition is pretty high. So that definitely is the country to look for. So these are some of the countries which I thought I should share with you based on my own research and whatever the work I'm doing. And you can also refer to the IMF reports and other things. They also recommend this type of countries where a lot of um, financial reforms are happening, new banks are opening, new exchanges are opening, stock exchanges are opening. So these are the new areas which you can go and look for it, and you can make a mark there. The future outlooks, and I was looking for that. How do I, say what's the future outlook of this industry? As I said, I'm always bullish on this industry because you'll see financial industry booming like anything. It is already in a uprising trajectory, but it will be bullish. Uh, why am I saying this bullish? Because one thing which we have seen in COVID in last 1 year is remote work scenario or the work from home scenario has really become successful with certain challenges. I know there are certain challenges that happen, but and which gives a lot of room for financial industry to develop because they can save some of the cost there, and that money can be utilized for various other things. So remote work scenario has become really good, and many people are working from various part of the world for certain organizations. And say for example this one, I'm sitting in Mauritius and you people are sitting in a respective room or house, and still we are having a discussion which is pretty good. So same thing with the remote work scenario in banking, in fund, in exchange, things are happening nicely. There were some challenges in which we have seen that, but I think that challenges will be overcome because people have identified the gaps. uh, you know and those things can be taken care into because I can understand some of the, I'll tell you in a case. I was doing a project with two countries, one in Egypt and another one in Sri Lanka. And the Egypt bank, when in the month of March, uh, when this lockdown started happening, they were pretty happy to work remotely because they had planned the systems nicely. But Sri Lanka is supposed to be a developed market, but I was working with the PSU, the public sector bank. They could not work with me for next 3 months because they didn't have their IT systems in properly in place. People, like simple thing, people didn't have their own laptop because they still believe that all the staff or different designation will have a laptop. A CGM will have a laptop, but a clerical staff may not have a laptop. So this type of organizational structure had created problems in a work from home concept because they don't have a laptop, so they can't work. So in next 3 months, where they are planning for it, but I tell you, still we are working, and some part they are working from home, some part they have started coming back to office. But initial 3 months were a lot of issues there. So the point here is that you need to plan properly for to work from home. And as I said, all this thing has a cost, because if you have to give a laptop to everyone across the bank, definitely is a costly phenomenon. So you need to plan it properly. So as I said in my last slide, technology is a good thing, but it has a cost also. So those gaps has been identified. I think most of the financial institutions are working on those gaps, and that's why I'm saying remote work will be there as a new normal, but it will definitely add value to the value to financial institution. Segmentation in use of technology, as I just the example which I gave of Sri Lanka and Egypt. Some banks are very tech savvy. Some financial funds are becoming really tech savvy. They have their digital transformation done properly, but some are not, and which are not, they need to plan it now. Otherwise, obviously, they'll be out of business in due course of time. So that's a future outlook that most of the banks will be trying to do the digital transformation in due course of time. Cost management and risk management will be the key thing in due course of time, because you need to manage cost. And when I say cost management, I'm not saying cost reduction. Cost management is very efficiently managing your cost, and obviously risk management also will be a key thing. And there will be a lot of you'll see a lot of people working on that area in any of the financial institutions. Technology in regulatory environment, it definitely is a new name which will come, and because banks are becoming very tech savvy, so obviously their regulators have to be like central banks, the capital market authority. They need to understand technology properly. They need to understand modeling properly. They need to understand. They need to have their own technology, which has to be very efficient. So that's another area which we'll look for. M&A will definitely happen. A lot of mergers and acquisition will happen in financial industry, and I can guarantee that many small banks will be out of business in due course of time. So markets were bullish, the financial markets, quite volatile, but slowly the volatility levels are coming down. Volatile, but it's level coming down. I will not say the markets are growing from a base level, but obviously the top level markets are on the higher side. So overall, I still believe there's a lot of opportunity in financial industry. I'm still bullish about it. A lot of work can be done, but to do that, I think we need to be, yeah, and if you need to be successful, these four things has to be done. You need to have comprehensive knowledge of your business. So you need, wherever you go, whether it's a bank or insurance or financial, you need to know end to end of this business. You cannot sit in one corner of the say that I'm doing just quantitative modeling and not understand marketing. No, that doesn't work. Nowadays, you need to be multidisciplinary. And if you are multidisciplinary, you can definitely be successful, so that you know your business. Always keep your marketing person alive in you, because sometimes people believe that I'm doing my job and people will look at it. No, they don't. You need to market your product. You need to market your capabilities, and it always helps, because if you don't tell, if you don't market, the counterpart or the people who are sitting in front of you will not know what you're doing. So keep your marketing person alive in you, and it will always help. I'll give you an example here why I'm saying this. If a company called Nomura Investment Bank, and that's and Japanese culture is a different culture, but it's a very different, good culture. They say that do your job, do your good quality job, and people will recognize you, which they have successfully done it. But but when I joined and I used to look into the Middle East countries for Nomura. So once I was in Kuwait, I was meeting the central bank senior management in Kuwait, and he said I was trying to sell some products of Nomura in that central bank, and he said, you are the first person who's coming from a Japanese company to sell something. They don't believe in marketing. I said, you don't believe in marketing, and because of that, South Korea and China has taken their market. So now they have realized, and they are marketing quite a bit. So always keep your marketing person alive and try to sell your products. It always helps, because so that people know that what capability you have. Be a risk manager. That's also important, because we always think that I am a business person, I am a sales person, I'm a marketing person. Risk management will be done by the risk management department. No, it's wrong. Risk manager, you have to be a risk manager yourself because you need to filter out the risk and you bring the business in. If you're a credit analyst, you do credit ratio analysis, you do sovereign risk, you are taking the industry risk. Why are you doing it? Because you want to filter the risk out of it. So be a risk manager along with your, whether you're a credit analyst or a marketing guy or a sales guy. But don't forget to be a risk manager and always keep upskilling yourself. That's very important. Don't be stagnant at one place. Keep learning, keep knowing, and upskilling yourself. So these are the four things which I always believe, and you should do that. Understand the market business properly. Be a multidisciplinary, but you should know your business well. Always keep your marketing person alive. Be a risk manager, and always keep your upskilling yourself. That will always help to be successful in your career. So I think that's it from my side. I think I was given 1 hour 15 minutes. I think I'm almost done there. These are my emails which you can always write to me, but I leave the floor open for question and answer. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Chakrabarti. I would request students to post their questions in the chat box. In the meantime, I had one question. In the last few years, we have seen an increasing trend of companies asking for CFA certification. And most of these are big four consulting firms or credit rating agencies. So how important it is for the students to pursue certification like CFA?
CFA is a very good course. CFA,
Okay.
because if you have listened to my session, I'm trying to say that thing because when I was talking about accounting, if you're just a CA, sometimes you miss out on the financial management, sometimes you miss out on the quantitative analysis, sometimes you miss out on those subjects. But CFA takes care of a good combination of both. And that's why CFA is a very good course. I think your students should take, and that will help them to join either the big fours or also even the banking segment, because CFA can also be a good place for them in treasury, in corporate finance, and other places. So,
Okay.
and to some extent, even the risk management department.
Okay. And would it also open doors for international career prospects?
Yes, why not? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Any questions from the students? In the meantime, Dr. Deshpande or Professor Vijan, would you like to share your thoughts?
Uh, yeah. Sorry, Vijayan sir, you want to go ahead?
You go ahead. You go ahead, please. I'll join later.
Yeah. No. Just Chirag, this was absolutely comprehensive. I think comprehensive is also a mild term which I am using. So excellent. I'm sure you will share the PPT with us also. Hello.
Yes, absolutely. I'll share that. I'll just after this, I'll share that.
Yeah. And I'm sure students must have been completely spellbound by the sheer breadth and depth of your analysis. I mean, not only you have covered some of the career opportunities which broadly we say finance, but I think you have not left any subdomain of finance unturned in your very lucid as well as comprehensive presentation. So I'm sure CMC is not going to leave you at this juncture and will keep pursuing you for future opportunities as well. Over to Vijayan sir.
Anytime. Anytime. Thank you so much.
Swapna, are there any questions from students?
No, sir, I don't see any questions. I think the presentation was quite comprehensive enough. So,
Okay.
students are quite clear about the various opportunities they have in finance.
Okay, so you're saying we should take the positive message of not many questions. Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll go by your advice. So, more for my own learning, I was taking down some notes, and I must admit I have not done a great job, but I will share a few things which I learned from today. Is my audio all right?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, dear students, dear faculty, and Chirag sir, I think the first one was, the entire piece of gratitude. I think thinking about Dr. Deshpande and what he did, what Kandadoshi sir did, from an financial expert like you, sometimes when we tend to forget who made small and big differences. I really, that is very touching because that was the first thing you did. I think, sometimes we achieve many things because of the silent support given by other people. So I think students, you should notice that this was the first slide. That is not the last slide. Second, I think what I liked is, to cover width and depth in a very short time. And, if we are not able to see the audience, I think it requires mastery. And I think you use the stories so well. And I think our students, including myself, including my colleagues in CMC, we have to really learn the art of telling stories. And those stories are timeless, and those stories, hold attention of people. I was tremendously moved. I think interdisciplinary is I think a very strong. If at all I forget everything of this presentation, I will never forget interdisciplinary. And therefore, I'm quite happy when I look at my life. I have done some HR, I've done some manufacturing, I have done some quiz competitions, then I have worked in Dubai, then I earned some money, then I earned less money, then I earned more money, and then I came to education where my salaries came down. But I gained many things in the last 10 years. So what I really, I'm thankful that, some of us, because of our own gurus and our own colleagues, they gave us so many opportunities. And at that time, I remember, many people said, this is not our work, this is that function's work, this function's work. So I was really touched by another point, and there's a very eye-opener where you said that everybody has to be a risk mitigator. What you probably said is, sometimes I tell in class that as a HR professional, if you are in charge of talent acquisition, the biggest risk is your top talent leaving and your average talent continuing to hang around in the company. And in some other companies, it's always a revolving door. If there is too much of attrition, it is a sign of, it's a risk that has to be flagged. So I think our HR students require to be exposed much more to risks that are also right up the HR space. I think also I found a lot of, it was a very interesting way that you looked at the profile of the students. And I think that one slide I will be discussing it with my own colleagues in career management and also in finance and even with other professors as to, maybe in a hurry to go, in some sort of a, we've been doing many things many years. You continue to do the same way. I think it has thrown up a whole lot of questions in the diversity of students. And if diversity of students is not an issue, then the opportunities that you mentioned, you were very careful in not saying this company is good or that company is good, but you started saying countries where we should have a look, and you said which industry, which subsectors. And I think, we've got some lot of work to do, at least in Career Management Center, to probably look at opportunities for our students a little more assertively all over the world, at least in the 12 countries that you mentioned. I deeply thank you. When you mentioned of TISS, I felt a bit nostalgic because I graduated from there. But when I graduated, we used to hear ESOPs, but we didn't know what that meant. But now I know that the students there know all these things very well. Beautiful slides, sir, and sometimes people have great content, and sometimes I also face you don't make the slides look good. It falls flat. I don't even know how you make these slides, so I'm going to take some help from my students. uh, I also found that it's a very elegant way where you are not simplistic, but you are simple, and I think that's a very difficult balance. Curiosity, you spoke about it. I think the future is reserved for people who are curious. I also liked the cautious advice of joining the education industry a little later. And digitalization, I used to also get very confused, but I think, you made that pretty clear, and I'm sure even students would feel a little more comfortable. And I like this open banking. I've never heard this, so that was a new learning point for me. And also in terms of, I like this pulling the data from the pushing the data, and the Singapore example that you gave, and the 12 countries I've made a list. I think our first task in career management is to, scope these countries from a financial industry perspective. And I think, give me a minute more. The future of the financial market, you left a very positive, but you also said, don't call yourself a finance man or a marketing man end to end. I suppose when you meant end to end is the entire value chain, and the value chain is always interdisciplinary.
Totally right.
Yeah. And I can only say that I don't think I have any words to summarize how important you have made a difference in our lives. Maybe some of the students, if you had taught them, they might have been something different. So it just shows that some destiny has worked in bringing you. And I'll take the liberty of Dr. Deshpande and Kanudoshi sir and others who were also your teachers, that we will keep touching base with you to take some advice from time to time, fundamentally for student development and better career opportunities, or maybe a curriculum sort of a review and things like that. So thank you. I hope I summarized something so that the students, who are a little lazy, maybe some people are placed, so they sometimes wonder, why should we ask questions? That's very sad. In fact, the people who play should ask more questions. So I try to fill up that gap. I hope I did a decent job. And over to you, back to you,
Thank you so
Swapna.
much.
Thank you,
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Vijayan. It was nice. I think I'm so happy
Thank
that
you.
you have heard this, my presentation, so
Yeah.
carefully. I think you raised the right points. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Vijayan and Dr. Chakrabarti. Before we wind up the session, we'll take a quick photograph as a remembrance of today's session. So I request all of you to unmute your video. Can students quickly unmute their video, please?
Chirag, Chirag,
Yes, I can hear you.
Chirag, in a lighter vein, hello, Chirag.
Tell me, sir.
Now, in a lighter vein, can the finance students get a job in forest as forest officer? Because other than that, everything you have covered. I can't imagine any sector you have left unturned. So forest
As
is
I
the
said,
only thing I could think of.
I
Finance
said,
is
I
a
said,
finance
I
is a
said,
jungle
finance.
anyway.
Yeah, finance is a part of everything.
Yeah.
Smita ma'am,
Great,
are you
great.
around?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Smita
sir.
ma'am is there? Smita ma'am is there? Huh?
Yeah, I think I saw her some time back.
Okay, maybe.
Savaikar was also
Professor.
there.
Having a little bit of trouble.
Savaikar sir is also there, probably.
Yeah, I can see him as well. Professor Savaikar, can you come on the video, please?
He's on mute, so maybe you'll have to send a message to him. Yeah, he is unmuted.
Smita ma'am, would you be able to unmute your video?
Unfortunately, still not having a connectivity issue here.
Okay,
So it's
okay.
become this unmuting was a bit of a difficulty.
Okay, no
Sorry
problem.
about that.
No problem, ma'am.
So maybe Kimaya and Sushant, our volunteers for today's session, can take a quick photograph.
Sure.
Dr. Deshpande, we can't see you.
Yeah. You were there a couple of. I think he's dropped out,
No. I'm very much there.
but can't see a photograph. Now you're there.
Yeah.
Now you're there. Okay.
Very much there.
So Kimaya and Sushant, you have to tell us once you are done with the photograph.
Yes, ma'am. I've taken the screenshot.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, and all the best to all the students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you
Thank
for
you
all
so
the
much.
positive messages you have left for our students and for all of us. Thank you so much. It's a great day,
Okay,
especially
Chirag,
yeah.
Chirag,
Chandra?
we'll keep catching you. At least I will certainly do that.
Anytime, sir. Anytime. Most.
Yeah.
Let me know whatever I can do. I'll definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure you will, and we will not leave this opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Have a good
Chakrabarti.
weekend. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, all the faculty members. Thank you, Professor Vijayan. Thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Deshpande. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chandana.